Bringing you the very latest from here at home and across the world. This is News at 9, coming to you live from the News First Centre in Colombo. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. And let's start off with a look at your headlines.
Headlines on News First at 9.
SLTB bus drivers and conductors prohibited from using mobile phones while on duty. A monk from Vavunia suspected of harassing 4 children remanded. Chief suspect in the homicide of 5 persons in Anuradhapura interrogated under 48-hour detention orders. Chairperson of the UNP Leadership Council, Karuja Surya, calls on the chief prelates of the Malwatu and Asgiri chapters.
News First at 9.
Well, Mahina, it looks like some action has finally been taken on the increasing number of bus accidents taking place in the country recently. The Deputy Chairman of the Sri Lanka Transport Board, L.A. Vimalaratna, has said that all SLTB drivers and conductors are banned from using mobile phones while on duty, effective immediately.
Now, this came in the wake of a fatal accident that was reported from Bandaravela only on Monday, Madhushka. That was the latest in the accidents that have been reported in the country. The bodies of the victims who died in this tragic bus accident on the Punagala Road in Bandaravela were taken to their respective residences today. Now, according to our correspondent, the final rites of 3 of the victims took place this afternoon. White flags were raised in the Bandaravela town today to mourn the deaths of 10 people in a bus accident that occurred on Monday evening. A similar sight could be witnessed in Punagala, the hometown of a majority of the victims. According to our correspondent in the area, persons belonging to 5 families in the Punagala area were killed in the accident. R.D. Piyasena from Ampitikanda, Punagala, was among those killed. He was 57 years old at the time of his death and was a father of 3. Piyasena met with the untimely death while returning from Badulla with his daughter. Piyasena's daughter, who sustained injuries, is currently receiving treatment at the intensive care unit at the Badulla General Hospital. According to our correspondent, she is the mother of an 8-month-old infant and her husband was killed in a motor accident a few months ago. 16-year-old Nimeshika Thisari Lakshika, a student from Kuda Kusum Balika Vidyalaya in Bandaravela, was another victim of this accident. The body of the late Nimeshika is currently placed at a relative's house in Abadande Gama, Bandaravela. 35-year-old Peruman Ravichandran, a resident from the UL section of Punagala, also lost his life. He met with the tragedy while returning from Bandaravela. The final rites of Ravichandra were performed today and he leaves behind 3 children. N. Sittamma, a mother of 3, also died in this fatal accident. 54-year-old Sittamma was heading back after collecting a parcel sent by her daughter, who is currently abroad. Our correspondent added that another daughter of Sittamma, who was injured in the accident, is currently receiving treatment at the Diyatalava hospital. Meanwhile, another 7 persons injured in the accident continue to receive treatment at the Diyatalava base hospital. The medical superintendent of the hospital said that 2 of the injured are being treated at the intensive care unit. 7 others who are also injured in the accident are receiving treatment at the Badulla hospital. Director of the Badulla hospital said that 1 person is receiving treatment at the intensive care unit.
The police say that the chief suspect in the grisly murder of 5 people in Vihara Halmilla Kulama, Anuradhapura is being interrogated under detention orders obtained for 48 hours.
The bodies of the 5 victims who were actually killed in this heinous crime are currently lying at their residence.
The 5 victims were hacked to death with the use of a sharp weapon at night the day before yesterday. The victims were a group of people who had arrived in the Vihara Halmilla Kulama to purchase a new plot of land after selling off a plot of land in Hasalaka Kandi and relatives at whose home they were residing in. A mother, a son and daughter and a female relative and her son were the victims. The police say that the victims had in their possession a sum of 500,000 rupees, proceeds from the sale of the plot of land in Hasalaka. The police have identified a suspect as an army deserter. The police say that the victims had been hacked to death while they were sleeping. Our correspondent says that the final rites of the 5 victims are to be observed tomorrow at the public cemetery in Vihara Halmilla Kulama.
Now, the husband of the woman who owns the house is receiving treatment at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital.
In more local news, today marks the 46th death anniversary of the late D.A. Rajapaksa, one of the most prominent figures in Sri Lankan politics.
That's right. A memorial event was held in Tangor today under the auspices of President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Religious observances were held in the vicinity of a statue of the late D.A. Rajapaksa in the Tangor town centre. Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa, First Lady Shranti Rajapaksa, Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Parliamentarian Nama Rajapaksa, provincial ministers and governors were among those who attended the memorial event. A memorial for the late D.A. Rajapaksa was also held at the Tangor Town Hall. The memorial lecture was delivered by Professor Ranjit Bandara, Professor of Economics at the University of Colombo and the Chairman of the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute. The annual Sisura scholarships presented by the D.A. Rajapaksa Foundation to children from low-income families in the Hambantota district were presented by the President today to children from 200 families. The second Nanas educational television channel was launched today, parallel to the memorial event for the late D.A. Rajapaksa. The President also launched the official website of the D.A. Rajapaksa Memorial Foundation. D.A. Rajapaksa, who was born on the 5th of November 1905, was elected uncontested to the 2nd State Council of Ceylon at by-elections held on the 14th of July 1945. D.A. Rajapaksa was also a member of the Committee on Agriculture and Land in the State Council from August 1945 to the 1st of July 1947. He was elected in the first Parliamentary General Elections of Ceylon in 1947, representing the belly of the electorate, and served as the public representative for the electorate between 1947 and 1956. D.A. Rajapaksa served as the acting Minister of Agriculture and Lands since 1957 and in 1959 was appointed Cabinet Minister for Agriculture and Lands. D.A. Rajapaksa also represented the Beliyatha electorate in the 5th Parliament of Sri Lanka between 1960 and 1964 and also served as the Deputy Chairman of Committees and as Deputy Speaker. D.A. Rajapaksa passed away on the 7th of November 1967.
Leader of the Indian People's Party, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, states that Indian Premier Dr. Manmohan Singh should attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Sri Lanka. Subramanian Swamy points out that the Premier should attend the summit in order to show to the country that the needs of the country outweigh the needs of the UPA. The leader of the Indian People's Party notes that Prime Minister Manmohan Singh should meet with the Sri Lankan President, tour the north of the country and also engage in discussions with Chief Minister of the Northern Province C.V. Vigneswaran on the issues faced by the Tamil community.
Meanwhile, the visiting Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic, Lanka, says the Czech Republic is eager to expand its economic relations with Sri Lanka. The visiting diplomat made this remark when he called on his Sri Lankan counterpart in Colombo today.
Yes, he had added that the business forum, which will be held on the sidelines of Chogam next week, is a particularly appropriate forum to focus international attention on the country's trade, investment and tourism potential.
The two ministers, noting investments in Sri Lanka by Czech companies in the fields of computer software, data entry operations, BPO and the hotel sector, discussed avenues for stimulating further investment in Sri Lanka. Special attention was also focused on the interest of Czech companies in investment in infrastructure development projects, wastewater management for Colombo, Kurunagala and Kandy, and the construction of bridges. At the meeting, the visiting diplomat had said that the Czech government plans to open a resident embassy in Colombo in view of the growing political and economic ties between the two countries.
Well, if you just tuned in, you're watching Primetime News live here on News First.
And up next is Action TV.
A monk who is said to have subjected 4 children at a children's home in Vavonia to cruel treatment has been remanded until the 19th of this month. The monk in question was produced before the Vavonia Magistrates Court today by the National Child Protection Authority. The 4 boys who are the victims of this alleged cruelty were taken into the custody of the NCPA on permission granted by the courts in order to conduct inquiries, while the children were in the custody of their parents. 23 boys from the children's home in Vavonia who were taken into custody of the NCPA on the 12th and 15th of October revealed to the NCPA that the 4 boys in question had been in the custody of the children's home prior to returning to their parents. When one of the 23 boys at the home was taken into the custody of the NCPA on the 12th of last month, it had already been affirmed by the Judicial Medical Officer or JMO of Vavonia that the boy had been the victim of continuous abuse and that he had wounds on his genitalia. On the 12th of October, when the NCPA had the child examined by the JMO of Anuradhapura, he confirmed the findings of his colleague in Vavonia. While this boy was also residing at the children's home, which was administered by the monk who was remanded today, the other 22 boys were taken into the custody of the NCPA while they were residing at this house. As of today, these boys are being sheltered at 2 safe houses in Colombo and Kaluthara, which come under the purview of the NCPA. One of the allegations levelled by the All-Island Probation Officers Union, who staged a protest opposite the NCPA on the 24th of last month, was that the NCPA had disregarded its responsibility to arrest the suspects in connection with the continuous child abuse that has been taking place at the children's home in Vavonia. The Vice President of the NCPA responded to questions posed by Action TV. Since this is an allegation levelled at a member of the clergy, a problematic situation has arisen for us. Since extensive investigations are being conducted into this incident, we cannot arrive at immediate conclusions. When considering the facts that were presented in court today when the NCPA produced the suspect monk in court, it is evident that after all this time, the NCPA has as yet failed to arrive at a conclusion regarding the continuous abuse of the 9-year-old boy that was first taken into their custody. What makes this revelation even more astounding is the fact that there are reports by qualified medical experts appointed to conduct judicial medical examinations which prove beyond a doubt that such cruel and horrific abuse did take place.